The Olympic project existed before the nests were discovered, and they'll exist after the nest site has been mined for all the information it can offer up. This particular location isn't notable amongst the group solely because of the potential evidence they've discovered here. In fact, multiple members of the organization have had encounters with strange sounds and smells, and even had sightings near the area. Derek Randles himself has counted amongst those who have seen the creature on the property. Just 2 years ago, he encountered a massive, light-colored creature shaking a tree on the drive into the nest site. And on our second day driving in, he took me to the exact spot where it happened.
Well, what happened is my wife and I were coming in, this was 2 years ago, and the thing is I had been coming in the gate, the main primary gate to get into this area, every day for like 5 days in a row at around 5 p.m. And on the 6th day that I was coming in here, we were coming in to hunt, and my wife was with me. We got through the gate and came to the first major turn, and my cell phone rang, and it was my son. And so I just stopped the truck and just started talking to him. And Tori sitting in the passenger seat, she goes, "Holy God, look at that tree." We looked down the skid road about 100 yards, and there was a tree being whipped so violently that the top was almost touching the ground on the whips. And I'm like, what in the hell? And at first I thought, okay, that's got to be a bear. It's hunting season, I have a bear tag. And we're at 100 yards. And so I actually jumped out of my pickup while Tori's still watching it. And I pulled my rifle up on it and scoped it. As soon as I pulled my rifle up, the tree just stopped. And I saw something blonde leaving the base of the tree, upright, at just an incredible rate of speed. Just like fast. And I looked right over at Tori and I said, "Did you see what I just saw?" And she goes, "Yeah, something blonde just left the tree." So at this point, I'm still thinking the tree is not that big of a tree. So we get in the truck and run down there. I get down there and the stalk of the tree is about that big. It's probably about 6 to 7 inches in diameter. That's when I got spooked when I saw the size of the tree. There's not a piece of heavy equipment sitting there. We both saw something exiting the base of the tree. And as I'm looking up the stalk of the tree, the whole right side of it's bruised. And that's when Tori goes, "Derek," and she's still up on the road. And all she could see was me from about here up, just my head and the top of my shoulders. Whatever we saw was a solid 3 feet taller than the brush that I was standing in when it left. The weird thing is it was blonde. It was a blonde in color, very light in color, but it was upright and it was a solid 2 feet, 2.5 feet taller than me, whatever was shaking that tree.
Of course, sightings by members of the Olympic project aren't relegated to just this area. While not everyone has had a sighting, most have experienced unusual occurrences in the forests of northern Washington.
What's the craziest thing that's happened to you since you've been involved with the Olympic project out in the field?
Well, we had a crazy night in August down in central Washington. There was a lot going on. There was a lot of whoops and knocks and other vocalizations, and we hiked down in this camp at 9:30 at night that I actually was creeped out in the camp in the daytime. And I told them I didn't want to go down there, but we ended up going down there.
Let's see, it was in August, had a camp out where we decided we were going to cowboy camp. We start getting ready for bed, we're all in our sleeping bags. All of a sudden, the chatter of us starting to die down to go to bed is broken by this tree fall.
When that tree fell, I thought, oh God, here we go, it's on. Because we knew they were in the area, but I took that as a sign of aggression, like it wants us to get out of there, and it's getting pretty pissed.
We started hearing movement, the few of us that were still awake. Shane Corson and I were still awake the longest because we were hearing stuff move around, and he had his FLIR and he wanted to see if something was out there. He wanted to be able to FLIR it. So he had told me, "Hey, wake me up if anything happens." Well, unfortunately, stuff kept moving around and happening. So anytime he fell asleep, I had to wake him up. And we had a few percussives or knocks. Eventually, he fell asleep, and I thought, you know what? Okay, it's late. I'll just go to sleep. And so I was laying on my back, but I was had my head tilted, kind of like this. So my sleeping bag was open just enough that I could see this one view of the trees. All the guys are snoring, so they're asleep, and I'm quiet, that I start hearing swooshing footsteps coming through this overgrown grass on this area, coming into camp. It gets closer, and I'm straining my eye trying to see where it is, because I could hear where it is. And then all of a sudden, the view of the trees goes away, and there's no trees. The sound and the movement kept going around and walked in between where Shane and I were before there was a tent. There was a little bit of space between the one person had a tent, and this rush of air goes past on this side of my head. And it took a couple seconds before I tried to wake up Shane. I'm yelling for him. I think that's about the point that my heart rate got so bad in my ears that it was pounding so hard. I'm sorry, I don't know how to explain it. It was pounding so hard. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have a heart attack. I'm gonna have a heart attack in the woods. And
we're going through this off trail. We came upon something right over here. Big, breaking branches. We both drew our weapons. It went from straight in front of us down to the left. It could be circling us.
There is a multitude of sightings in every kind of arena on the Olympic Peninsula. If I was going to guess, I would say it's probably one of the highest concentrations of Sasquatch that there may be, due to the environment and the viability of the environment and everything that's available, all the available resources.
Well, it took something with an opposable thumb, because sticks were jammed into the ground. That's a military setup. We have a perimeter guarding an interior.
all of a sudden the chatter of us is broken by this tree fall. That changed the game, because it went from just, okay, we're gonna just be out here camping, to this is probably angry Sasquatch.
And when you get to something like the nests, I mean, this is completely different. This is something where you take primatologists into the woods and they say, I've seen this in Africa. I feel personally that's one of the biggest discoveries so far in the 21st century when it comes to Sasquatch.
Well, there's at least two moving back and forth.